We're about to conduct a forensic examination. We need to understand how the exact same business model, 10-minute grocery delivery, could spectacularly implode in the West, burning through billions, while at the same time becoming a wildly profitable multi-billion-dollar industry in India. It's a massive paradox. Okay, let's just lay out the evidence. On one side of the planet, you have Getir. In 2022, it was a giant, valued at almost $12 billion. Fast forward to 2024, bankrupt, gone from every market it touched. Now look at the other side. You got Blinkit in India. Same playbook, but its valuation is soaring past $13 billion. And this is the critical part. It's actually profitable. Identical models, completely opposite results. That right there, that's the anomaly we are here to dissect.
So here's our core thesis, the finding of this whole investigation. This divergence had nothing to do with better apps or smarter founders. Nope. The outcome was baked in from the very beginning. It was all about structural arbitrage. The quick commerce model was never a universal key. It was a very specific lock. And it turns out it only fit one door.
To prove it, we're going to run a series of audits. Let's start with audit 1, the battlefield. We need to look at the ground rules, the hard, unchangeable laws of the physical and regulatory world these companies operate in. So in the West, cities are built on something called Euclidean zoning. Think of it like this. Your city is a set of neat, separate boxes. A box for houses, a box for shops, and a box for factories and warehouses. Here's the problem. The law sees a dark store, the core of this whole model, as an industrial warehouse. And you can't just drop a warehouse in the middle of a residential neighborhood. And that creates a geographic trap. You are literally forbidden from putting your supply, your mini warehouse, where your demand is. This creates what the industry calls stem distance. It's the dead mileage you have to cover just to get into the delivery zone. It fundamentally breaks the 10-minute promise before a single scooter even starts its engine. Now let's flip the globe over to India. It's a totally different world. The urban planning philosophy there is what you'd call organic or mixed use. The city isn't a set of neat boxes. It's a living organism where the lines are completely blurred. The shop on the ground floor of your apartment building isn't the exception, it's the rule. And here it is, this smoking gun. This isn't just a cultural vibe, how things are. It's codified. It's written down in black and white in Delhi's own master plan. It explicitly allows for commercial shops on the ground floor of residential buildings. This single piece of regulation is a structural cheat code. It gives Indian companies the legal right to place their inventory literally next door to their customers. But zoning is only half the battlefield. The other half is friction. Pure, unadulterated gridlock. In a city like Bengaluru, it takes nearly half an hour to travel just 10 kilometers. That's a little over 6 miles. This isn't a minor headache. This is a fundamental law of the environment. You see, for a quick commerce company, this insane traffic isn't a bug. It's the entire business model. The sheer pain of doing a simple grocery run creates what we call a sanity premium. People are willing to pay a lot to avoid that chaos. It transforms Q-commerce from a cool luxury into an essential utility, like water or electricity. Okay, so we've mapped the battlefield. Now it's time to pop the hood and look at the engine itself. This is Audit 2, where we deconstruct the unit economics that make or break this business. Just look at this. The power of density is staggering. A 2-kilometer delivery radius in a typical American suburb might give you access to, 12,500 people? In a dense Indian city, that exact same circle captures 250,000 people. It's not even the same sport. The addressable market is exponentially larger and more concentrated. And now for the brutal math. This chart explains everything. In India, because everything's so packed together, a rider can make almost double the number of deliveries every hour. That's punch 1. Then, punch 2, the labor cost. You're talking about maybe 70 cents an hour versus $18 an hour in the US. So you do the math. The cost per drop is 20 cents versus $10. That isn't a rounding error. That is the difference between a viable business and a bankrupt one. All right, so the costs work, but where's the actual money coming from? That brings us to our final audit, the fuel. Here, we're analyzing the hidden levers these companies pull to actually make a profit. So the first secret weapon is something we call the invisible variable. India's traditional supply chain has tons of middlemen. A stockist, a distributor, a wholesaler, they all take a cut. Quick commerce just skips them. They bypass that whole chain and go straight to the manufacturer.
Every middleman they cut out adds another 10 to 15% directly to their margins. It's a structural profit buffer that just doesn't exist in the hyper-efficient West. And here's the real game changer. These platforms aren't just grocery stores anymore. They are advertising behemoths. Look at that chart. A huge chunk of their revenue is from high-margin ads. They've turned their apps into retail media networks, and brands are paying a fortune to be featured. That ad money is effectively subsidizing the entire delivery operation.
Okay, so the model looks unbeatable, perfectly evolved for its environment. But is it? Now we get to the mandatory part of our audit, the red team segment. We are going to actively try to break this model. We're looking for its single point of failure.
So, let's stress test this thing. Is it a fortress? We'll start by probing for the most obvious weaknesses and see if the structure holds up. Now, my first thought was, okay, what if the city just gets better? You build new metro lines, traffic eases up. Surely people will just go get their own stuff, right? Well, the data was shocking. It shows the complete opposite. The areas with the absolute best public transit have the highest penetration of Q-commerce. And it makes sense when you think about it. The metro solves the problem of moving you, not the problem of lugging your groceries home.
So if better infrastructure isn't a threat and competition can't touch the unit economics, what is the Achilles heel? It's not an external force. The real threat is internal. This entire multi-billion-dollar machine is balanced on the head of a pin, and that pin is the legal classification of its gig workers.
And this table right here, this is the kill switch. Right now, under the gig model, every order makes money. It's highly viable. You could add a small tax or a welfare levy, and okay, the margin shrinks a bit, but it's still fine. But look at that last row. The moment a government reclassifies riders as full-time employees, the entire model inverts. The cost per delivery more than doubles. The margin flips from positive 30 to negative 30. It's not a setback. It is systemic collapse. So we're not going to end with a question. We're ending with a predictive indicator. If you want to know the future of this industry, stop looking at profit reports or growth numbers. The only signal that matters, the only one you need to watch, is the legal status of the gig worker. That is the one and only variable with enough power to break this otherwise perfectly adapted economic engine.